Welcome to BS with AJ, ladies and gentlemen. I'm AJ. It's the Talk America Radio Network. The third week in January of 2018 already. I hope you've had a phenomenal beginning to the year. I would say that I have. I would say that liberals have not. Democrats have not. They're still in the same miasmic, putrid existence they've always inhabited, but that has been made worse by Trump's presidency. They still can't handle it. But I was thinking about this week because every day, on and on and on, especially if you spend time on Twitter, on Facebook, and you have friends that are liberals and liberal Democrats, you see the hysteria, the Trump derangement syndrome, the absolute idiocy, the emotional storm that these people live in day to day, week to week. And it's shocking in some senses, but in others it's saddening and it's disappointing. You almost feel sorry for them, almost, because you recognize that it's such a pessimistic, cynical, negative atmosphere to live in, and that's where they are every day. They wake up, I've said it before, others talk about it, their head leaves the pillow, and they're upset and angry and hateful and frustrated and negative and cynical, and it's all because the person that was elected president, they don't like. They think, well, he's mean, he says mean things, he's uncouth, he's I guess he's not clean and pure like Obama was, and they can't get over it. They can't get over it to such a degree that it has caused them to become hysterical, neurotic almost, I would suggest. But this got me thinking, how does this happen? How do we reach this kind of division? Well, we've talked before. It's caused. It's fomented. The words balkanization, agitation, propaganda, that kind of thing. It's all part of what liberals have done and worked to do for decades. We are here. But what part of our society or our culture is it that they've taken advantage of to make it so? One of the things that sticks out to me when I think about this is, I remember at very young, and I think all of us at very, very young ages, we learn about our ability and our right and our freedom of speech in this country. And we learn that everyone's entitled to their opinion. And that's true. We're all entitled to our opinion, and nobody has to like Trump. Just like when Obama was president, we had plenty of people who didn't support him, and there was Obama or this, and all these memes and jokes and things like that. None of it ever, at least in my opinion, reached the intensity that we experience now with Trump. There were people who took it too far. There were those that were on the extreme edge of the spectrum of their criticism of Obama, but it wasn't 95% of the news. 95% of the news that you hear when you turn on network news, cable news, print news is negative about our president. And much of it is negative in such a way that is so embarrassing for the person spewing it. It's so embarrassing to watch Don Lemon. It's so embarrassing to watch Maddow and Tapper and The View. You name it. It's just, they're bringing such shame on themselves. And they have no idea because they live in that little cocoon, that separate planet that Obama referenced when talking about the difference between people who don't watch Fox News and people who do. People like Jake Tapper, Don Lemon, Rachel Maddow, people on The View, the Hollywood elites, the Democrat elites, the liberal progressive idiots and elitists and globalists, they do really inhabit a different universe and a different planet than we do. And it's because they've been taught so much that isn't true. They've been inculcated and brainwashed into believing so much that just simply isn't at all part of our reality. And folks like myself and other hosts, we push back about it or against it every week. But to get back to what I was saying is we learned about how we're all entitled to our opinions. And that stuck in my head. And I thought, well, yes, we are all entitled to our opinions, but what does that mean these days? How is that part of what's going on? And to me, the statement, we're all entitled to an opinion, yes, it might be true, but the problem is that too many folks think their opinions should become law, that their opinion needs to turn into legislation. And that's on both sides of the aisle. That's if you're a far-right fundamentalist Christian who thinks that we should go back to the days of prohibition, and alcohol should be outlawed, and cigarettes should be outlawed, and all kinds of different sexual acts should be outlawed, and this, that, and the other thing should be outlawed because it's not in the Bible, that's ridiculous. Just like it's ridiculous that we should have transgender bathroom laws. Just like it's ridiculous that we should have laws governing abortion. AJ, do you mean we shouldn't have laws governing abortion? Sure. I guess maybe we should, but that's the whole thing to me, is we shouldn't get our government involved in these types of decisions. Our government doesn't drive culture. At least it shouldn't. Our government shouldn't shape our society. It should only be there to protect it and to serve it. And that's what we've moved so far away from. So in my opinion, gay marriage has nothing to do with law. Abortion has nothing to do with law. Marijuana legalization shouldn't even exist. None of these things should be handled by our federal government. There can be state, local, and county laws, or whatever you want to call them, statutes that deal with this kind of thing, and that allows people to move with their feet. Say you're born somewhere and you grow up, you become an adult, it's time to go off to school or to start on your path of independence as an adult, you leave the nest, and you don't like the laws in the city or state or county that you live in, you move. That's voting with your feet. Instead, what's changed and what's evolved from this constitutional setting and a list of things that are illegal based on their impact on our ability to pursue our happiness and life and liberty, they've turned into, well, there's a moral responsibility to not allow this kind of thing to happen because, well, it's just so wrong and it goes against our values and these things that we believe in. And whenever we get into an argument that stretches or moves into that realm, that's where I throw my hands up and say, okay, we're wrong. We can all agree that murder, theft, rape, assault, all of those kinds of things, those wrongs that we've known about, those wrongs that form the basis of our civilization and foundation, yes, that's where we've infringed on someone else's pursuit of happiness. But let me be frank, folks. Some dude down the street lighting up a joint doesn't infringe on your pursuit of happiness. A gay couple wanting to get married two cities over or 4 states over doesn't infringe on your pursuit of happiness. Someone deciding they want to go to the bar and kick back a 6-pack or a half a liter of vodka tonight does not infringe on your happiness. What we've gotten in each one of those situations is Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or a coalition, the LGBT community. Or we see some mom go on the Laura Ingraham show, which I could not be more unimpressed with. Her bringing of a mother who lost a child in a car accident where the other driver supposedly was high. These things aren't infringements on our pursuit of happiness. The idea of God in the Declaration, in our Declaration, not our Declaration of Independence, our Pledge of Allegiance each morning, the idea of illegal gay marriage, the scheduling of marijuana as if it's heroin. No, those are not impediments to any individual's pursuit of happiness. Growing up in a school where each morning the Pledge of Allegiance is said, and having to repeat the words "under God" and say them out loud for the life of your schooling as a child, that's not something that impedes your pursuit of happiness. It might not be something you agree with. It might not cause you to become a believer in God, but it doesn't infringe on your pursuit of happiness or your life or your liberty. The 10 Commandments on a monument in a courthouse doesn't infringe on anyone's pursuit of happiness or life or liberty. There's no attack. There's no infringement on anything. There's no consequence for anyone physically. Any way, anywhere, anyhow. There's no consequence for Bibles being in the bedside tables at every hotel. There's no consequence for handing out Bibles at an elementary school. I don't know if you heard that story. There was some school where they've done that forever. They're not doing it anymore because of angry, petulant atheists. There's so much that has become opinion being legislated. Someone's opinion being backed up because they find others of the same opinion, and then they find sources of money, and then they lobby or do petitions or get this on a ballot or that on a ballot, and suddenly we have massive Leviathan-like government, all because people's opinions can't simply be opinions. They can't simply disagree with us based on whatever their belief from the Bible is or whatever their belief from some other type of teaching is. There can't just be a difference of opinions. No, there has to be a law. And my opinion has to become enforceable with a badge and a gavel and a gun. It's absolutely asinine. Another example of this opinion talk today as well. The anti-Trumpers, the liberal Democrats, the libtards, the Trump derangement syndrome sufferers, people from all across the political spectrum, the never-Trumpers on the GOP establishment, the swamp in Washington, the Republicans who are anti-Trump, all across the political spectrum. They believe their personal opinions about Trump and his language and the way he behaves and how unsavory he might be at times, those opinions supersede their responsibility as servers of the Constitution, protectors of the Constitution, servers and serving their constituents. They believe they have such a hatred for Trump and such an anger that the American people duly elected him that now suddenly they can shirk the responsibility and the oath that they took to serve. Maxine Waters, however many members of the Black Caucus that aren't going to the State of the Union, Flake, Romney, McCain, Graham, Durbin, whoever it might be, whoever you may know on your local level. These people have such a dislike for this individual as a human being, which they're entitled to. The problem is they think it gives them license. They think they have a blank check to say anything, do anything, and shirk the responsibilities to break the oaths of office that they took. These people on the Democrat side, they don't care about the American people. They have shown it to us, they've proven it to us, because as soon as there's someone that they strongly disagree with in the presidency, they throw their hands up and do nothing but resist. Not a single Democrat vote for the tax reform bill. No Democrats willing to come across the aisle and make sure that our borders are secure. Not a single one, ladies and gentlemen. These people do not care about you and me. If there is a D beside their name, they do not care about you and me. In a lot of cases, if there's an R beside their name, they do not care about you and me. They care about themselves. They believe in themselves, and they work for themselves. And our system of government here in this country has enabled them to take advantage of our desire to not be politically involved. That's one of the other beautiful things about America, is we shouldn't have to watch our government with a freaking microscope all the time to try and keep them from taking advantage of us. That was the whole idea behind a Constitution and a Bill of Rights, and the whole idea behind our representatives taking an oath to serve and protect it. Ladies and gentlemen, they haven't done that for decades, for generations. Is it our fault? Maybe so, but that's supposed to be part of the beauty of the country that we live in with these protections and the governance of ourselves, is we should be free to pursue what we want to pursue, and if it isn't politics, if it doesn't include being citizen journalists, if it doesn't include watching every representative through a microscope to make sure that they're good and they observe the laws and they don't break any laws and they're not bad people, we should be able to do that. We're not there anymore. Unfortunately, we have a responsibility now to hold Washington accountable because we have stopped producing people of character. And if we haven't stopped producing them, at least we've stopped electing them in the vast majority of instances. It's just absolutely astonishing and disgusting. This is Blowin Smoke with AJ. We'll be right back after this. It's the Talk America Radio Network.
Are you tired of paying high prices for TV channels you don't watch? Of course you are. You want to watch and pay for the channels you like. Now you can take back control of your TV with Dish's Flex Pack. Get over 50 of America's favorite channels for just $39.99 per month, and then add the channel packs that you want. And your TV price won't go up for 2 years, guaranteed. Plus, when you call today, you'll get free standard installation in up to 6 rooms and a free HD DVR upgrade. Need more channels? Dish offers loaded channel lineups from $54.99 per month, featuring over 190 channels, and HBO is included for a full year. And for a limited time, GoDish will give you a $100 prepaid Visa card when you sign up and mention offer code GIFT100. Call now, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573, 800-795-5573.
Packages, prices, and promotions subject to change. Gift card courtesy of GoDish.com. Call for details.
If Ernest Hemingway was alive today, would he say this to you?
Shakespeare, Mark Twain, Edgar Allan Poe, all great writers. And after reading your book, I simply must add you to the list.
Wait, you don't have a book yet. So make a free call to Page Publishing. Their expert staff can help you turn your book idea into a real book, a masterpiece that could someday make the bestseller list in hard copy and digitally all across the world. Page Publishing can help you completely take your idea for a book, write it, and publish it. So if you want to join the ranks of some of the most famous authors in the world, call now for a free information kit. Turn your book idea into publishing gold. Make a free call right now to Page Publishing.
800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. 800-378-2714. That's 800-378-2714.
Welcome back to Blowin Smoke. I am AJ. This is the Talk America Radio Network. Thank you so much for patronizing the folks kind enough to advertise on the show here. This is basically a not-for-profit show. In the 2 years that I've been doing it, I want to say that it has probably generated, well, I can't even imagine. It's got to be like some 1,000th of a cent per minute. It's not one of those situations where the person talking to you is like a Sean Hannity or someone else or a Rush Limbaugh, where there's just all kinds of cash flowing around. It's not the case. So those of you who do support the show through the advertisers, thank you very much. It's a phenomenal thing when it happens. Twitter, Project Veritas, James O'Keefe. Have you been following the story? I know many of you will have been following the story because you will pay attention to other talk show hosts other than myself. But if you happen to be catching the show and you don't check out those other talk show hosts, we understand shadow banning exists. We understand that for everyone who signs on with a Twitter account, that a file is made of all of their direct messages, all the photos that they send, everything that they tweet, post, share, and link to. And if you link your account, another social media account to Twitter, I can guarantee you that everything that's involved in that has been saved as well. We know this now because James O'Keefe, Project Veritas, has undercover video of employees for Twitter admitting to all this. Also admitting to the fact, and you might be one of these people. I have never been. I'm not one of these people, but this happens, where people direct message sex tweets or pictures, and they do sexting with their Twitter direct messaging option on their app. Well, Twitter has saved every single one of those photos and has it in a file with your name on it. And there are employees at Twitter whose job it is to look at all of them and analyze them and help to put you in a category of person, someone they might refer to as an idiot or a blankhead. This is absolutely true, and they're there forever. You'll never, ever now, if you're one of those people, one of those unfortunate dupes who has allowed yourself to share those kinds of sensitive, private things online, Twitter or not, now you know those things will always be there waiting to be used against you. Twitter employees on tape bragging about how they could break up marriages, how they've got the dirt on people who have used the direct message system in Twitter, on Twitter, and they have saved it all. And there are people paid to go through it, analyze it, and look at it. And anybody, I guess, there can go and access that and look at it. So if you're a young woman or a middle-aged woman or an older woman and you've shared some kind of sensitive photo, nude or otherwise, of yourself, employees at Twitter are checking you out. Same for any guy. You thought you were going to impress some girl. Send her a picture of whatever you sent a picture of. Somebody at Twitter sees it, can see it, kept it, it's there, it's in a file with your name on it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there's more coming from Project Veritas about Twitter. And what this has caused me to do is I'm moving. I will no longer be using Twitter. I have to say as well, I have been shadow banned. And what's been going around Twitter is that the way that you know if you've been shadow banned is that you go to a certain individual, an employee of Twitter, if you go to their account, and if it shows you that this individual has blocked you, then you're shadow banned. Sure enough, this individual has blocked me. Never knew who he was, never saw him before, never had any interactions with him before, but apparently he blocked me. And that means that I'm shadow banned, and I can guarantee it. I don't have a lot of followers. I was coming up close on the 300 level. But the fact is when you tweet as often as I have, almost 3,000 tweets. Is it almost 3,000 or 2,000? I can't remember. Several thousand tweets, and you get zero interaction. Not even someone disagreeing. Now, that's supposed to be what Twitter's about, an exchange of ideas, communication, people disagreeing, debating, speaking. When you know that people are seeing your tweets and they're not engaging you, and the only time someone does engage you is when you comment on another article or someone else's tweet, you have been shadow banned. Sure enough, I was shadow banned. I am moving to Gab. It is a free speech platform. Its terms of use are very clear, and I enjoyed reading them, actually. It was important to me to check that out because I did not want to be taken as a political pawn and used as Twitter has used all of its followers, its users. I didn't want that to happen again. Now, there's a lot of liberal trolls on Gab who post the most ridiculous things. People who pose as alt-right, pose as white supremacists, pose as this, that, and the other. And they post horrible things. They're allowed to. That's part of free speech. In my opinion, they're doing nothing but embarrassing themselves. But I think that they do it to try to drive people away from the platform. Apple has helped that cause by not allowing Gab to have its app offered in their store, their app store, because of people like that on Gab who post those kinds of things. So Gab gets accused of endorsing or allowing ridiculous things to be said, which is free speech, which is our right in this nation, and then Apple holds it against them and won't include them in their app store. It's absolutely ridiculous. But I will be moving to Gab. I already have. My Gab account is BSWAJ. BS with AJ. And from this point on, that's where I will be posting, and that's where I will be following people, and that's what I will be using to communicate. Now, that means that I'm not going to reach as many people as if I were on Twitter, but the point is, I wasn't reaching anybody on Twitter because I was shadow banned, because I'm not a good little liberal snowflake that gets triggered by everything. Instead, all the little liberal snowflakes who work at Twitter who are triggered by everything can't allow me to share my beliefs, to express myself, to speak freely about what I think about our political situation, our social situation, our cultural situation. So Twitter is useless unless you're a liberal Democrat, or you are so famous they can't get away with shadow banning you. If you have 100,000 followers, they can't shadow ban you. It's just impossible. Because they would know, that your followers would know, they can't do it that openly. It would be known, and they would get, well, as they do now, they would have egg on their face. I apologize. I'm having a hard time speaking in this room, and it is that cold. I've had the heater running all day, but it has been well below zero for a couple of days now, and I find my lips so cold that they are not moving. But that is life in North Dakota, be it as it is. Quick perspective for you. We talked about liberals and how their opinions need to be law. They can't just have a difference of opinion. They can't just hold some kind of idea about something. They have to turn it in to a law or a statute wherever it is they find themselves in power, whether it's at a local school or on a school board or a city or a state. Here's some perspective for you. Some of the poorest cities in the U.S., like Detroit, Buffalo, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Miami, St. Louis, El Paso, Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Newark. Throw all of California in there. New Orleans. I didn't mention Baltimore. Flint, Pontiac. What is something that all of these cities have, and the state of California have in common? It's Democrat rule. The last Republican that was governor in California, of course, was Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's almost too cold for me to say that name. But he was he was a rhino. He didn't introduce anything conservative. He may not have been a good liberal. He may not have been the best liberal Democrat for California as far as liberal Democrats are concerned. But he was not a conservative. He was not a real Republican. He was someone who wanted to be popular and please the press and have everybody like him. He just happened to, for some reason, proclaim himself a Republican. But Detroit has been led by Democrats since 1961. Buffalo has been led by Democrats since 1954. Cincinnati since 1984. Cleveland since 1989. Miami, I looked. I couldn't find any record of a Republican ever being in charge in Miami. St. Louis, 1949. El Paso. Again, I couldn't find, and maybe it's just me, I couldn't find a record of a Republican ever being elected to the mayor in El Paso, or any city council majority of Republicans ever. Milwaukee, a Democrat city since 1908. Philadelphia, a Democrat city since 1952. Newark, New Jersey, a Democrat city since 1907. New Orleans, it was 1800s, I think, right after the Civil War, I think was the last time they had a Republican. And somebody out there goes, oh, that makes sense after the... Well, no, you have to remember, Democrats created the KKK. Democrats pushed back against all of the civil rights acts that opened the doors and set free that part of our population, that gave the African American population its freedom and its equality with the rest of the population of the United States. The Democrat Party opposed it all. They're no different these days. They simply realized that they couldn't be honest anymore and show their true colors and fight by saying all of the things that they'd been saying before and doing openly all the things that they had been doing openly. No. They had to change their tune and pretend that they were for the very people that they have despised since the founding of their party. Let's remember Robert Byrd from the state that I was born in, West Virginia. He was elected as recently as 96 before his death. He was a high-ranking member in the KKK, a Democrat. This has been the reality, folks, for a long time. Democrat governor in Arkansas, back when they had to send the troops in to let the African Americans into the school, with troops, U.S. troops, to get that school to open its doors to citizens and to students of color. The Democrat Party was founded in racism and bigotry, in an anti-freedom, anti-justice, anti-pursuit of happiness, anti-American culture, anti-America. That is what I contend. You cannot be for the victim, for civil rights, for compassion, for equality, for pursuit of happiness, if your political party was founded and did the founding of the KKK. If your political party opposed the civil rights movement, the civil rights acts, the amendments, everything that took place at the federal and state level to free and to welcome into our culture and our society the African American population of the United States. The Democrat Party is the same Democrat Party it was then. They simply now are more liberal and progressive. And they oppress and enslave with government checks, welfare, and community organization, fights for equality, rhetoric about compassion. They create, I've heard the term and I like it, soft bigotry. It's a soft slavery. It's where they make you feel really good while they further drive you under their thumb. That is who we are dealing with. That is the party that became the biggest surveiller of the American people during our last election cycle and after the election. They are the party that opposes everything that has been done, that has happened since Trump took office to grow our economy, grow the jobs for the African American community, the Latin community, to drive the Dow up $7.8 trillion in valuation, to change the economic situation in this country. They are the folks who want the exact opposite of all of that, because they believe that if you're happy and independent and have a job and don't need them, well, then they won't have power. So they work tirelessly day and night to create an environment where everyone is going to need them to save them from themselves, where they will need the Democrats and the government to save us from ourselves. If you're an African American, a Latin American, if you're an average American, and you have ever entertained the thought that the Democrat Party might get it a little more, they might just have what you're looking for, all you have to do is turn your television off and look around you and recognize that all of the rhetoric and all of the spasmodic, hysterical, emotional nonsense is all fake and false. It is all a pretend game of drama. And as I say, hysteria, to trick the people viewing into believing that you need someone like a Maxine Waters or a Nancy Pelosi or a Chuck Schumer to save you and to save your life. It is absolute nonsense. I believe you're waking up to it. Stay tuned, there's more. This is BS with AJ. It's the Talk America Radio Network.
What's your IRS problem? Do you owe back taxes? Is there a lien placed on your property? Have your bank accounts been frozen or seized? Have your wages been garnished? Are you being audited by the IRS? Are they sending you letters that demand actions and have urgent due dates? Well, solving your tax problems is as easy as calling Taxes 321. The IRS is the largest collection agency in the world. You need the best representation to give you peace of mind. You need experienced professionals that can cut through the red tape and stop the collection process. If you have a serious problem with the IRS, call the Taxes 321 network today. We'll get them off your back.
800-510-0338, 800-510-0338, 800-510-0338, 800-510-0338.
The following message is brought to you by Health Markets, your first choice when you need health insurance for your small business. Do you offer health insurance to your employees? Call us now and see if you can save money. Do you want to offer vision and dental to your employees? Call us. Do you think you're paying too much for your current health insurance? Call us. Do you want somebody else to do all the legwork and search thousands of health plans from over 180 health insurance companies nationwide? Call us. We're Health Markets, and thanks to a little-known solution, we could help your business save thousands of dollars on health insurance costs and save your employees money too. Our service is free. Don't miss the great savings. Call now.
800-472-5145, 800-472-5145, 800-472 800-472-5145. That's 800-472-5145.
Health Markets Insurance Agency is DBA of InSphere Insurance Solutions, Inc., licensed in all states. Product availability varies.
Welcome back to Blowin Smoke. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for staying tuned to the Talk America Radio Network. I wanted to go back for a moment to Twitter. There's another little piece of information there that's very interesting. It's also stated in the undercover video of a employee of Twitter stating that all of that information that they save on you, all of your direct messages, your tweets, everything that's linked to your Twitter account, they save it. They know who you are, and they sell it to advertisers. And so this idea that there's any privacy left whatsoever in anything that's associated with our digital world, it can no longer be described or characterized as a conspiracy theory. It's absolutely true. But just so you know, if you're a Twitter user, everything that you've ever done and said on Twitter gets used to market to you, will, if it hasn't already been used to hold against you, to manipulate you, to try to take more of your money, to treat you like a fool. It's all there and open for you. I hope you'll go to Gab. You can check out their terms of use. You can check out their privacy policy. And one of the things about Gab as well, they have a direct messaging option as well. It states very clearly that every 24 hours, those are erased. So you can send a private message to someone, and after 24 hours, it ceases to exist. Now, does that mean that's foolproof? Probably not. But when a company will at least tell you and physically work to delete and remove from existence that stuff that you want to keep private, at least you can hope, and at least there then could be some recourse for yourself if it turns out to not be true. Twitter, bad people, bad people. Someone gabbed earlier today. If Twitter is keeping all of the sexting and the photographs that go through the direct messaging and all of the messages that get sent and everything that happens, and they keep it all on a server and you have a file there that's all that you've ever done, well, let's just say you're a child. Let's say you're in your teens and you're not of age, you're not an adult. And if you've sent a picture of yourself nude or whatever else, then that means that those pictures are saved and they're on a server in the Twitterverse, wherever that might be, wherever their servers are. And that also means that Twitter now has on their hard drives, their servers, child porn. So I hope that can be taken seriously. I hope that everyone will think about that in a serious manner, instead of it becoming some kind of partisan confirmation bias kind of BS. If you have children, say you have a 16-year-old daughter, and you fear she might have been using Twitter to communicate with some boy, and maybe doing some things that are inappropriate, even if you've only suspected it, well, now you must also add to that suspicion that Twitter has kept all of that sensitive material that your naive 16-year-old daughter has put over her Twitter account. It's just a fact, and it's disgusting, and there's no reason to give that social media platform anything else of your life or their lives. I hope you'll move to Gab. Let's talk about Hawaii for a second. What an amazingly scary, awful thing to have happen. To get an alert from your Emergency Management Association telling you that there's a ballistic missile inbound. There are movies about it. It's something that we have known, that fear in this country, for decades and decades. Couple generations, 3-4 generations now, because of the Cold War. We've always been under the threat of nuclear attack because there have always been enemies of America who have had nuclear weapons. What I wanted to address here isn't the employee who made the mistake, or the fact that because we've had this rhetoric passing back and forth between Trump and Kimmy, it doesn't make it worse. It's not more scary now. Jamie Lee Curtis, the governor of Hawaii, Jim Carrey, these people who have come out and blamed Trump and acted as if somehow this is Trump's fault. It's absolutely ridiculous. If you want to suggest to me that a nuclear holocaust or a nuclear blast or an inbound missile is scarier now because Trump's president than it would have been under Obama, you're insane. And if you're not insane, you're delusional. A nuclear blast doesn't care who's president and isn't larger or smaller or affect fewer people or more people because of who the president is. Nuclear weapons are dangerous. They always have been. It doesn't matter who's in power. In fact, the only thing that matters about who's in power is whether or not there's some imbecile, neurotic, fascist, tyrannical dictator like the one in North Korea who's willing to use them. Our nuclear arsenal has always been there as a deterrent, not something we hope to use one day, something we have so we hope that we won't need to use them. But to put forth this idea that it's Trump's fault because he's challenging and trying to call out and belittle this fascist tyrant in North Korea, and then that makes this kind of scare more scary. Talk about shallowness. Talk about a lack of depth of thought. Talk about a lack of being connected with the real world. Trump derangement syndrome is real. And these people who become apoplectic and absolutely hysterical at the mention of Trump and all of the things that he's done that they disagree with, and behaving and saying and tweeting and putting out there these things that they do, again, I could not be more embarrassed for them. They have no idea the amount of face that they're losing, the kind of embarrassment they're bringing on themselves. And I have to say, and their families, because their families aren't speaking up and saying, oh, I disagree with my cousin Jim Carrey. Well, no, they probably all worship the ground he walks on. Same with Jamie Lee Curtis's family, because they're a big Hollywood star. Look at what they've done. Look at what they've accomplished. What have they accomplished? Oh, well, they make people laugh. Well, big freaking deal. I've made people laugh before. It doesn't make me better than anyone else. I've brought entertainment into people's lives by being a musician and being published and having national and international attention for it. It doesn't make me better. This whole notion that suddenly we should have more fear about nuclear weapons because Trump's president is absolutely asinine. It's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. A bomb the size of the ones that were dropped in Nagasaki, Hiroshima, they're not more or less dangerous because of the political party in the White House. It's just absolutely ridiculous. There is no reason to have more fear because of an inbound missile because Trump's in office. You should have the same level of fear at an inbound missile, regardless of who is in office, regardless of who launched it, regardless of why it was launched. That's what nuclear weapons are. They're the be-all and end-all of nonpartisan danger. These people are absolutely the most shallow, feckless, hubristic, elitist, charlatan, narcissistic idiots. And in this country and in this culture, we worship the freaking ground that they walk on. No more. These people are not better than you. Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Jim Carrey, Chelsea Handler, who you name them, Oprah Winfrey, the ladies on The View, Joyless Behar, they are no better than you, they are no better than me. They somehow, whether they screwed their way to the top, as we've learned with Weinstein, and we've heard about the casting couch all of our lives, or they got lucky, or because they were good at making people laugh, they were given a pass, or given an opportunity that others don't get, and they think it makes them smarter, stronger, better, more compassionate, more elite than the rest of us. And I, for one, am sick of it. I'm sick and tired of seeing Hollywood types put on a pedestal, famous people that we see on TV all the time, put on a pedestal. And then when they self-destruct, when they show themselves to be no better than any other human being, it's forgotten and swept under the rug. There's a few minutes of pain or suffering or outrage, and it lasts for a day or two, and then we move on to the next thing. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Shame on you, Jamie Lee Curtis. Shame on you, Jim Carrey. Shame on you, Hollywood. You are a hole. This is Blowin Smoke. We'll be back after this.
Boy,
Man, I had a rough night's sleep. Ugh, boy. Whew. I got a letter from the IRS yesterday, and I just couldn't sleep. Man, I'm dying here. Somebody help me.
IRS problems affect more than just your finances. If you're ready to take back control of your life and you owe more than $10,000, you need to call the tax doctor. Their expert staff can immediately protect you from the IRS and state collectors and get you the best possible tax settlement guaranteed. The IRS has recently released new programs geared in helping struggling taxpayers, where you may qualify to settle your tax debt and wipe out up to 85% or more of what you currently owe. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the tax doctor right now. See if you qualify to pay less. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727. 800-215-1727.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. 800-296-1289. That's 800-296-1289.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Blowin Smoke. I'm AJ. It's the Talk America Radio Network. So, another government shutdown, huh? And it's all over DACA? And it's all over the S-hole comments and Durbin. Dirty Dick, Durbin. I'm assuming you've heard all of this. I'm going to speak about it if you have. This whole thing to me is, it's just like everything else. It's just so disgusting that the debate gets to where it is because... Well, it's because we are not given the truth. We aren't given the information that we need as the American public from our news sources. Yeah, I'll turn on Fox News when it's time to check out some news. I don't open my mouth and pour the Kool-Aid down my throat and chug it and believe everything. I have a strong dislike for Laura Ingraham. I can't stand Shepard Smith. The show Outnumbered many times has me wanting to turn it off because... these people are all so proud of themselves. Kennedy is the bright spot. But there is such a level of these folks being so self-enamored. They just can't get enough of themselves. You can tell by the amount of time they spend on their makeup and clothing. And I have to be honest, I don't find tube dresses with skirts that finish halfway down the thigh to be the formal, dignified dress of someone that needs to be telling me what I should or should not be thinking about something. That probably makes me a sexist misogynist. But I kind of look for a different kind of dress from someone that is trying to communicate to me how much self-respect they've got and what level I should be respecting them. Oh, that's controversial, AJ. Good. It's like never mind. I'm just really unimpressed with most of the people that I see on Fox News. I have a high level of respect for Tucker Carlson. I think Sean Hannity does his best, even when sometimes he gets it wrong and times that I disagree with him. He's doing what he can and he cares. Same with Tucker Carlson. As I say, the same with Kennedy. And there are great folks, I'm sure, working there behind the scenes. But the people on camera, so many times, they're just so proud of themselves. And you can see it in how they read their prompter and what they say to us and the questions that they ask and the kind of discussions that take place. Greg Gutfeld, another awesome one. He's hilarious. I love his attitude, his perspective, and his sarcastic kind of approach. That's beside the point. Speaking about DACA and this government shutdown, we're probably not going to win the argument that it's not the Republicans shutting down the Congress, when all we need are 9 Democrats in the Senate to pass whatever needs to be passed to keep the government functioning, and they won't do it because we won't give illegal aliens that were given a special level of protection by Obama illegally without constitutional authority. When we can't get 9 Democrats to admit that and to come over and take care of the problem with us, it's not the Republicans' fault. Simply because the Republicans don't hold 61 seats in the Senate, it's not their fault that the government is getting shut down. We're probably not going to win this argument, but the point being, we can solve these problems. And if the people in Washington, D.C., the politicians in the House and the Senate, cared about solving these problems, well, you can bet they would be solved. Let's put it this way. If the DACA folks, I'm not going to call them what everybody else calls them, if the DACA folks were going to vote Republican, the Democrats would be on board with fixing this. If 85 or 90% of the illegal immigrants that come into this country and are going to demand a way to citizenship were going to vote Republican, this issue would be, we would have fixed it a long time ago, because the Democrats would be having none of it. They recognize that they're winning voters. They're solidifying their base. They're putting themselves in a situation to win future elections, because these people who have no respect for our country, for our laws, for our system of government, for the opportunity that they're enjoying here, they have no regard for any of it. They're not going to vote and become political activists to preserve it. They're just as concerned with their own self-interest as any Democrat, liberal, progressive is, and any establishment GOPer, and any anti-Trumper is. There's no concern for their fellow citizen, for our culture, for our society, for the people that they share the planet with and who share the oxygen with them. They don't give anything. They don't give two craps about any of it. They want what they want, and they're willing to get it regardless of the consequences. Anything else that happens is just collateral damage. And so the big conversation becomes about a government shutdown. Oh, clutch the pearls. Oh, what'll happen if the government shuts down? I, for one, welcome it. And just to put it in perspective, every weekend the government shuts down. Just like businesses close, schools close. It gets shut down every weekend. If something goes on, there's going to be someone there to pick up the phone and take care of it. It's just that we've become so fooled into thinking that we must have all of the pillars of government and the different departments and the different bureaucratic offices must be functioning, and if not, then, we'll fall to our knees, our civilization will crumble, and the Russians will win, or something. And it's just absolute nonsense. I'm hoping that our general lack of favor with the media, our distrust of our modern mainstream media, maybe is going to have enough of an effect these days to not color this debate too much. For more of us, or excuse me, I should put it this way, for fewer of us, for less of us to care whether or not the government shuts down. If you're a government employee and you get affected by it, well, of course you care. Shame on you for being a government employee. But AJ, there's all of the benefits. Shame on you. But that was my choice, my pursuit of shame on you. That's all I have to say. I don't care what the job is. If you're not a member of the military, shame on you. If you're not a member of the FBI, the CIA, the NSA, if you're not part of the traditional government agencies that work to protect and to defend our nation, our Constitution, our borders, and our citizens, then you are auxiliary and you are unnecessary. And in my opinion, there's something better and brighter and bigger for you out in the private sector. So shame on you. Don't care. Don't care. If you work at the IRS and you're worried about, having a few days off that weren't scheduled and not getting paid, don't care. If you work for the Department of Education and you're going to have a smaller check because the government shut down, shame on you. I don't care. Shame, shame, shame. This idea that our government is somehow our heartbeat, that it is somehow the breath that we breathe and the oxygen that we depend on, just absolutely ridiculous, and I have no sympathy. I hope the government shuts down. And in that case, I guess if the government shut down, then any new visa applications and any new immigration applications and any of that stuff can't be happening. Awesome. More power to them. Oh, and all of these folks that are going to boycott the State of the Union. I mentioned earlier in the show, their opinions. These liberal Democrats, these regressives, these anti-Trumpers, these people who can't get over who the president is, regardless of what it is that he's doing and how the rest of the country is benefiting from what he's doing, they can't get past their opinion to do their job. They believe they've been given a blank check to break their oaths to the Constitution, the oaths of office that they said when they took office. They're breaking them openly in front of everyone because they don't like someone personally. I can't tell you the number of times I've had to work in a business with people that I disliked or detested personally. Guess what? I had to go to work and work with them and find a way to put that down inside of me, to swallow that and get through a shift and have a positive work environment. It's called adulting. Our politicians, in too many cases, are not adults. This week, a book to shove in your skull. Yes, it's 1984 by George Orwell. For too long, this book, these types of books, the bad guys have been painted as the Republicans, and the good guys have been painted as the Democrats. If you believe, or did believe, when you've read this book before, or watched these movies, or seen this type of story play out, and you have believed that it's the Republicans, or the evil corporations, and the racist Republicans, if you've believed that, and you have assigned those traits to the protagonists and antagonists in this type of fiction, I want to challenge you to reread it and switch the parties. Because we know the Democrats have surveilled 1,000+ Americans during a campaign of the opposition party to try to stop their opposition candidate from getting elected. We know that the Democrat Party had no problem with using the intelligence tools and apparatus of the government against their political foes. So what I challenge you to do is to go back and read Animal Farm, read 1984, read The Hunger Games, read The Giver. Go back and watch the Star Wars epics again and change which political party is represented by the protagonist and the antagonist in the story. It is not the Republicans who create Big Brother. It's the Democrats. We've seen that. It is not the evil empire created by the Republicans. It is the evil empire in Star Wars that is the globalist, Democrat, socialist, progressive movement. I think you'll see that now. If you've paid attention to the reality in our politics in this country at all whatsoever, you see now that the bad guys are the ones who started the KKK, who oppose civil rights, who believe that we need to have laws governing what kinds of bathrooms who gets to use, when, where, and how. The party that wants men in little girls' bathrooms. The party that wants legislation from the federal level on every aspect of our lives. That's the evil empire that strikes back against the folks who just want to be free and decide for themselves and take responsibility for their own lives. I challenge all of us to go back and reread these epic stories of good versus evil, of the little guy versus the big megalomaniacal Leviathan-like government, and understand correctly who is the protagonist and who is the antagonist. It is not the Democrat Party. Regardless of the idiots in the Republican Party that exist, they are not the party of Big Brother. They are not the party of the evil empire. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you'll join me again next week. This is the Talk America Radio Network. Try to stay warm in this winter cold. And until then, bye, Earth.